The tournament now should be lots of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait. Possibly the biggest game of Lionel Messi's career upcoming. Last chance to win the World Cup, but will Croatia be the penalty kings once again? This is World Cup Sera Qatar.
Welcome to World Cup Sera Qatar, a podcast produced and presented by sports journalism students from the University of Central Lancashire, live from our TV studios in Preston. I'm Elliot Thompson, a third-year sports journalism student.
And I'm Ollie Woolton, also a third-year sports journalism student. So, the semis are upon us this evening with Argentina taking on Croatia, and tomorrow we've got France versus Morocco. Joining us in the studio are our fellow students.
Hi, I'm Joe Stevenson, a first-year sports journalism student here at UCLan.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah Takungelo, second-year sport journalism student at UCLan.
And I'm Sam White, and I'm a first-year sports journalism student here at UCLan.
Brilliant. We'll hear from you guys in a few minutes, but first our reporters Stuart McCracken and Matt Salmons have been speaking to Craig Chisnell, who's an editor at The Athletic. He's been covering the World Cup from New York for the American fans of soccer. First, they asked him about the sudden death in Qatar of the much-respected American sports journalist Grant Wall, who'd done so much to promote the game in the States.
It's just been a huge outpouring of emotion. I didn't really have a realisation of how much of a role he played in the growth of soccer in the US. He'd had a huge role. You just have to look at Jesse Marsh's tweet and the US men's both the men's national team and the women's national team here both put out really nice tweets and stuff like that. I think he played a huge role in helping the game grow. And sort of pushing it forward, because obviously in the last 20 years it's made huge progress over here, but and I think he was probably the biggest advocate of it in the press from his days at Sports Illustrated to where he went next and stuff like that. So it's been a huge outpouring of emotion, and obviously a fantastic writer and a really sad event.
So you've been out in the US covering the World Cup. Can you just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing out there?
Yeah, so there's been three of us, me and two colleagues, came out for the start of the World Cup with the proviso of working across all the time zones. So in Qatar, they're up first, and then the London office sort of wakes up and joins in with them, and then we wake up and sort of we see it through until Qatar wakes up. I was a bit dubious about it all working like that, to be honest, at first when it was offered. I had no interest in going to Qatar on moral grounds, but it just sounded like an amazing opportunity to come to New York, and to be sat in the New York Times building is just a bit of a pinch me moment, really, because I was like you guys one day, sat in an office sat in that student building in Preston thinking, where's my career going to take me? I didn't think it'd take me to the New York Times at one point, but but the workload has worked really well, because we've been able to sort of ease the load on what would have been the London office with regards to sort of getting copy live from the games and stuff like that. So, and it's been incredibly busy. The group stages were mad, and then you had things like Manchester United sacking Ronaldo and then being put up for sale, and it's just been the last 3 weeks have flown by. Is it Monday today? I don't know what day it is.
Yeah.
So when a World Cup's on, the days go out the window because it's just so busy. But that's been a really enjoyable part of it. The buzz of sort of getting it all live and stuff like that.
Would you say that's the pinnacle of your career, working for a World Cup?
Yeah, I think it probably is, actually. When I come back to look at it, hopefully I've still got another 20 years in me to do in this industry. But obviously I've worked at the time. I used to work at the London Times, so I've worked on World Cups before. But this has been a whole new sort of experience, really, with regards to sort of workload and excitement, and just being somewhere different and experience it here and seeing how it has. I mean, you wouldn't know there's a World Cup on at times. Like obviously, but I assume Saturday was bedlam in Preston after the game and stuff. But there was a thing called SantaCon on in New York. Basically, everyone dressed up as Santa, and it's basically an all-day on the booze dressed as Santa. And England obviously equalised, and we looked out the window and there's just like hundreds of dancing Santas on some rooftop bar in New York. We're 8 floors up and we could look down on them. It was bizarre. So that's been quite funny.
When America were playing, was it Was it like it is here, people packing out pubs, bars, clubs, and going mental for it, or is it a bit of a kind of different atmosphere over there? And I think you mentioned it there. Now that the US are out, has it kind of been forgotten?
I mean, you barely know it started, to be honest. I walked past some bars I walked past the bars. I hope you heard that. I walked past them on the way to the office. And obviously when there's an England game on, pubs are packed and stuff like that. But you had to go into some bars to ask for the soccer to be put on, which was a shock. When the US games were on, I was always in the office. And there was a few people sort of past our desks because they were sort of intrigued to see what we were doing, and they sort of took a passing interest for 10 minutes, and then moved on to their meetings and stuff like that. Whereas that just wouldn't happen in an English office, would it? So, but no, it's really weird to be somewhere and it's just not front and center of it, if that makes any sense.
So looking ahead now to the 2026 World Cup, they're obviously one of the host countries. Do you think it has a long way to go in that country to get anywhere near the level of support England has?
Yeah, huge way to go, I think, still. Obviously, it's NFL season at the moment as well. NBA season's going on. It will be interesting. I'd love to see, I was talking about it to my colleagues yesterday, because I'm sure people will have a huge team out here in 2026. It'll be interesting to see how much it has moved on, and particularly other cities. I'd be quite intrigued to see what it's like in other cities. But I mean, there's been pockets of people being interested and sort of seeing in bars. I was actually off the day of the England-Senegal game and went to watch that in a pub, and that was quite interesting because it was so polite, the applause when England scored. There was no like beer being chucked like a Box Park or I'm sure like a student union, UCLan or whatever. It was more like polite applause, but all the TV screens were being shared with, so you had the soccer on one and you had the NFL on one, and there's like pockets of Americans watching the NFL while we were watching the England-Senegal game. So getting back to your original question, I'd be intrigued to see what it's like in 4 years' time when they have got the majority of the games in 2026. The host city's been decided for that yet. I probably should know that.
Yeah,
I'm
I think they have been yet.
It'd be intrigued to see how much it grows there and stuff like that.
So you mentioned England just there. What have been your thoughts on them for how they performed in the World Cup, getting to the quarterfinals, being knocked out by France, who you'd probably say are a better team, but you'd probably also say they're a bit unlucky. What were your thoughts on England's performance at the World Cup?
I thought England were excellent on Saturday. I thought they played really, really well. It was. I'm sure Mr. Canavan's told you, but I'm a huge Blackpool fan before I'm an England fan, and I actually quite enjoyed watching them on Saturday. I don't normally. I think it's normally quite dull, but I think they got better as the tournament progressed, and I think they're probably still scratching their heads at how they've lost that game. I think they switched off for both goals, and then obviously the penalty miss. But it's just typical England, isn't it? They just didn't look. They never looked like sort of they were going to lose the game, and then they lose the game. But I thought they were in control for most of it.
I think there's a lot of people that are calling for a change in terms of getting rid of Gareth Southgate and maybe bringing something fresh in. Is that something you'd agree with, or would you want to see him stay for kind of that next World Cup in the US?
I'm not an anti-Southgate one. I don't see a sort of viable candidate as well. I mean, I'm surrounded by Tottenham fans in my office, and they keep going about Pochettino. I mean, really? No. Where'd you go? Would you go Eddie Howe? Would you go Graham Potter? Would they walk out of club jobs? Don't think so. Who are the managers out of work? Who'd want it? I don't know. I can't see him. I think he's doing a great job. I think he's done a great job, and I'd stick with personally.
He says himself he needs to take time to think about whether he will stay on. One of the main candidates is Thomas Tuchel. What do you think if he got the job?
That'd be very interesting. The way it all ended at Chelsea was sort of calamitous, wasn't it? So, and obviously our reporting of that across the Athletic with Liam Toomey and Simon Johnson and Raphael Honigstein and stuff like that, it didn't end particularly well there, and there was a few worrying things in that article that would probably set alarm bells ringing. I also think with Gareth Southgate, I thought Jack Pitt-Brooke in his piece over the weekend off the back of the England defeat, he's our England man, and I also think he made a good point that 6 years is a long time to sort of carry that can as England manager. I'd be surprised if Gareth Southgate wanted to do it for much longer, because it sort of, particularly the way this World Cup's been, with obviously all the moral questions, and he has to carry a heavy load as that. At times, you probably think he looked a little bit tired from that in the last few weeks.
So let's switch our attention back to the World Cup going on at the moment. The semi-finals kick off pretty soon. We've got Argentina versus Croatia. What are your thoughts on that one? Who do you think is going to progress through to the final, and what have you made of both of those teams throughout the tournament so far?
I've been getting increasing stick in the office because I actually really like Croatia. They sort of find a way to get results. And for me, Gvardiol has been the player of the tournament. Everyone, as a sort of lower league fan and stuff like that, I appreciate the sort of it's not all about the forwards for me. I don't know what you guys think, but I think Gvardiol has been amazing during the tournament, as has the Croatia keeper. And I thought Argentina's antics in the Holland game were embarrassing. So I'd quite like Croatia to win. We wrote an article on a rare writing of article for me on Friday as an editor these days, and I seem to have upset the Argentinians, so that was quite fun. And then the other one's really intriguing, isn't it? France-Morocco, with regards to sort of Morocco have been so well drilled by their manager, and obviously the history between the two countries, and sort of a lot of players sort of knowing each other and stuff like that. The Hakimi and Mbappe one's really interesting. They're evidently really, really good friends. So that'll be interesting to follow. I think they're both very close. I can see Croatia beating Argentina though.
Do you think it'd be just a step too far from Morocco against France?
I think so. I think just. I can actually see it being a repeat of the 2018 final.
Who do you think's going to win it then?
Well, I got France in the sweepstakes, so I'll take France. Yeah, I'd say France. I think France look the strongest of the four, and I also don't think they've actually played at their best yet.
Looking ahead, who do you think will win the Golden Ball and the Golden Boot?
Crikey, put them in the spot here. Who's top of the Golden Boot at the moment?
Mbappe with 5 goals.
I can't see it. I think Mbappe will have a key role in the next 2 games, and he'll win that. And then, I mean, like I said, I think Gvardiol's had an amazing tournament. It'd be incredible if they give it to a centre half, though. So I think again they'll probably go Mbappe, won't they? That's if France get all the way, and if not, it'll be the little number 10 who plays for Argentina. He seems quite good.
Wonder who you could be referring to.
Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, I think he'll go on to have a good career, to be honest. Looking ahead to tonight, it is that little number 10 for Argentina. He will be taking his team against Croatia in the first semi-final. This is Messi versus Modric. It's going to be a cracker, isn't it, really?
Yeah, massive one. It's set to be a tight one as well. If you look at, like, historically, there's 2 Argentina wins, 2 Croatia wins, and 1 draw between the 2 sides. They actually last met in the last World Cup, I don't know if you remember. 3-0 to Croatia that day, Modric scoring a really good goal. It's going to be a different sort of game. No, only 3 of their starting 11 are playing, I think. Only 4 of Croatia's are going to play. So, what are we thinking, guys? Joe, start with you.
Well, I think everyone's gone into the game. Argentina are perceived to be the favourites, but I think you've got to look at how Croatia have played this tournament. And people are saying Croatia can't control the game, but in the World Cup final 2018, Croatia had 66% of the ball, which they need to go into this game. They need to control the game. Can't let Argentina play their football, and that certain little number 10 players football. And I think if they can go into that game with that same solidness they've showed with players like Gvardiol, I think that Croatia have a really good chance in this game.
Yeah, definitely. What are you thinking, guys? Jerry?
I see more Argentina going through for the reason that since the beginning of the World Cup, they seem like a bit with some spirit. Every game is so intense, so emotional, and they have so many supports like in the stadium. And for this extra plus, I see them going through. After, I would say that unfortunately for them, Croatia has been like unlucky because they lost Mandzukic, so they don't have that striker who can provide goals.
Kramaric is alright, isn't he? Do you think?
Yeah, but
2 goals only. So.
Yeah, he's not as
Inconsistent,
lethal as Mandzukic had been, and that's what's really missing right now. Because now they've got a wonderful midfield with Madrid, Brozovic, and Kovacic, but they cannot transform that possession into goals. And only for that, I think Argentina gonna go through.
Do you think that midfield, Sam, will be enough to cope with Messi? It's quite it's a possession-based midfield, not really one defensive-minded player completely.
No, not entirely, but Croatia do have a formidable midfield. Yes, they are getting on a bit with Modric and Rakitic. Obviously, Modric, I think, won the Golden Ball 4 years ago, so obviously they can do it. But this is a really, really tough fixture to call. No one really knows what to expect. Obviously, Croatia want to get through to that final again and give that final another go and try and win it. But then you've got Argentina with possibly Lionel Messi's final World Cup, who's in the form of his life right now and is excelling this tournament, probably his best World Cup to date. But yeah, as we've all said, it's all about Croatia. Can they keep possession? They're going to want to go all the way. They're going to want to do 2 hours of football and win on penalty shootouts, because I said that yesterday, that's what they do. But they've got a really good keeper in Novakovic, who has had a stunning tournament, and obviously with penalty shootouts. So this is really difficult, but I kind of want Argentina to go through and win this tournament. So I think they'll do it.
As far as Argentina go, Joe, obviously we've seen all of their fans. They've got it was 60,000 or something. How much do you think that's going to play into their hands, as opposed to Croatia maybe not having as many fans at the ground? Well,
yeah, I completely agree. Virgil van Dijk said before the last game, a goal goes in for Argentina, or a big chance for Argentina. The stadium completely erupts. It's 12th man. Not to be cliche, but I think you could tell sometimes in the Argentina game when they were on top, you could hear the whole fans, and when Netherlands scored, the place was silent. Yeah. So I believe that, again, you say Argentina the favourites coming into the game. It's not good for Croatia. That Argentina don't need another factor to help them, but they're passionate, the Argentinian fans, and if that's what gets Argentina over the line, I'm sure they'll take it.
I'm going to push you for a prediction.
I think it'll be 1-1 and Croatia will go for on penalty kicks.
Brilliant. Jerry, predictions?
3-1 for Argentina.
Okay.
2-1 to Argentina, but extra time.
I'm going to go, I think it's going to be 1-1, and then I think I'm going to go Croatia on penalties.
See, I said that yesterday. You said Argentina on penalties yesterday.
I've changed my mind.
I'm sticking with mine. Moving on, we've got, it's the end of the tournament on the horizon, so it's only right to start looking at the individual awards that are at play. We've got the Golden Ball Award for the best player, the Golden Glove Award for the best goalkeeper, and the FIFA Young Player Award for the best player in the tournament. That is under the age of 21.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk, hasn't there? Like Messi, obviously winning another one. Mbappe could win his first one. Modric could go back to back with the Golden Ball. The last 6 winners actually haven't won the World Cup itself, so who knows who could win it. What are we thinking, guys, in terms of the Golden Ball? I know you've probably got a few players written down.
Well, I think there's 2 players up for me who are up for contention. They both start with the letter M, and it's Messi and Mbappe. I think Messi is dragging the Argentina team to the World Cup final with him. Whether they like it or not, he wants it. To cap off his unbelievable career. He's got 4 goals, 2 assists. Unbelievable. I think the only blot on his record so far, he missed that penalty against Poland. Otherwise, it would have been a pretty flawless tournament. But Kylian Mbappe, 5 goals this tournament and 77 minutes per goal, which is outstanding.
Yeah,
so
crazy.
If I pick one, I think it will go down to who wins the World Cup. France win it, it's Mbappe. Argentina, it's Messi.
Thoughts, guys?
For me, I will say Mbappe is going to win it, because Messi is kind of all-rounder for Argentina. You have to create, you have to score, and only for that reason, he will be definitely be important for Argentina, but not necessarily by providing goals, but maybe more assists than the goals. Whereas Mbappe is really expecting to score. That's what he wants, that's what he likes. And only for this, I really think that Mbappe is going to be the one who's going to win that award.
Do you not think Griezmann's maybe got an outside shout? Possibly. He's really good against England, I thought. I think
changed his role completely, hasn't
yeah,
he?
and he's such like a tournament player. You can tell he really enjoys playing in the tournaments.
Yeah, I mean, it was really interesting. I don't think we ever seen that in a World Cup, like a player who used to be a good forward coming a World Cup as a midfielder.
Yeah, it's crazy.
She's been one of the best players in this tournament as well. Griezmann has been really important for the balance of the team, but he is really important. But I don't think that he will be as noticeable as Mbappe.
Fair to say.
Yeah, pretty much the same as what the other 2 guys have said. It is down to an Mbappe versus Messi showdown, and whoever will win it will take home the Golden Ball. I'm kind of wanting Messi because I think Messi is more versatile, and to be honest, I don't agree that Messi has kind of dragged the Argentina side. I think they have been a well-informed unit. So I think Messi pokes up in little pockets of space that we don't really tend to see him. So because of his versatility, I think he will take the title away from Mbappe. So Messi for me.
No one's saying Amrabat now.
you could have an outside shout. especially-
Amrabat should be right up there.
Yeah,
I
if
can't
they go all the
believe
way,
no one's
like-
mentioned him. He's been unbelievable.
Yeah.
But moving on to the other one.
Yeah, so well, Golden Glove, obviously another one that gets given out by FIFA. It's for the best goalkeeper, not just clean sheets, it's who performed the best. See, like, goalkeepers like Casillas, Neuer, Courtois have all won it in recent years. There's been quite a few front runners. I think probably all the goalies that are still left in the tournament still got a chance. What are your thoughts, Joe?
I think Dominik Livakovic has to be the shout because he, in them 2 penalty shootouts, the most high pressure moment for a goalkeeper, you've got to make them saves. 3 penalty serves versus Japan, started the town against Brazil with a serve against Rodrigo, and maybe put Marquinhos off to miss his pen. Him and Gvardiol have been the absolute backline to Croatia going through, and I think he has to be the shout. Emi Martinez as well, 2 saves in the first 2 penalties against the Netherlands. You can't overstate him. He was obviously what won Argentina the Copa America, so maybe if he goes through to the final and can win it for Argentina, you maybe change it, but right now it's Livakovic for me.
In my opinion, it's played between Livakovic and Bunu for Morocco because, and I wouldn't say neither Lloris or Emi Martinez because they concede and they've been okay, but we're talking about those goalkeepers, Bunu and Livakovic, who have been absolutely outstanding. And I would say Bunu could make it because for Morocco, the other day against Portugal, he ended up the game with 8 saves, and onto 8 saves, there is like sometimes ball deflected from his defender and still save it. It doesn't count as a save because he's his own defender, but that's actually something really hard for goalkeepers, and we've seen how hard it is to break Morocco backline. They only conceded 1 goal since the beginning of the tournament, so I think Bruno have a good chance to win this. Either or not, they beat France, in my opinion.
It's probably a case of they want to give something to Morocco, especially if they don't win the whole thing. They'll want them to be rewarded, and he might be the one that gets that reward. What you thought, Sam?
Well, I have gone for Bono. There is, without a shadow of a doubt, that he has to be the winner because Morocco, an African country that's only got out of the group once. That was in 1986. They had Belgium, the top ranked seeds in the draw, and they've done remarkably well. They beat Belgium 2-0. That's remarkable. They've beat Spain 1-0 and they beat Portugal 1-0 with Ronaldo. Like, that is formidable. 4 clean sheets. It's kind of ironic that it was against Canada that they conceded. But it has to go to him without a shadow of a doubt, even if they don't make it through, because he's had an excellent tournament. His value is going to go up, and I think all the big clubs will want him.
Does any of you not think Szczesny might be with an outside little shout? He saved 2 penalties in regular time. Do you not think Poland went far enough?
Yeah, well, that's what it is. Maybe if Szczesny was playing for France or Argentina, we'd probably be saying Szczesny, but when you get knocked out in the round of 16, you can't be the keeper at the tournament.
And now on to the young player. Obviously, we've got Gvardiol, who's probably our most notable young player left in. Enzo Fernandez as well for Argentina. You've got to look at the England players as well. Bellingham, wow, what a tournament. Saka as well, he's obviously doing really well for Arsenal, and then on the first international tournament he's shone. Goncalo Ramos as well, got a hat-trick, but he's only just recently came into the side. Who would you guys say is the most likely to win that award?
Well, for me, it's got to be Gvardiol because he has been, along with Livakovic, in the back line for Croatia, keeping them solid, getting them through the tournament. 3 clean sheets in 90 minutes, including one against Brazil, which in 90 minutes to keep all them Brazilian attackers out, it's fair play to him. He's had 89% pass completion from a centre-back who's constantly going to be trying to get that ball cleared, which is very good away again from him. He's attempted 7 tackles, made 6 of them, so he's been precise, and for his age, all the big clubs are going to be looking at him after this World Cup.
We saw Craig mention he could win player of the tournament. Do you think that's likely going to happen, or do you think they'll just give him the young player? I
think the player of the tournament's always going to be that person who's going to steal the headlines. Messi's and Mbappe's, but if Croatia go through to the final and win it, then why not?
Yeah, who knows? What do you think, guys?
Yeah, for me, he's going to be Gvardiol, even though I really think for a long time that Bellingham going to win it, but since they've been talking about our friends, I don't see any English player, and as as I said earlier, like he's been absolutely amazing against Brazil. He made some incredible last minute save. Only for this, like Guardiola is a really good defender. Who obviously good at defending, good at ball playing. He's absolutely an all-rounder defender, and for all of this, it's kind of those things we don't really see often, and at such a young age, he's only 20.
Especially when he's got his mask on as well. I thought that one might have like restricted his view.
I don't know how he does it, mate. I would be able to see.
He's the kind of defender you don't want comes against. I really think it's a nightmare for any kind of striker, really, any kind of forwards player. And yeah, he has been really good, so Guardiola is the one.
Yeah, same as these guys. Being an England fan, I would like it to be Bellingham, but since they got knocked out quarters, that's probably unlikely. It's definitely going to be Guardiola for me. Solid at the back, deserves to be right up there, and definitely deserves the award.
No one going to pick up on Enzo Fernandez, though. He's been recently, only yesterday, there's lots of reports from Argentina gathering about the fact he could be joining Liverpool after only one season at Benfica. So I think he's in for a shout.
I mean, what plays against him is as though he missed his penalty, right? Of course, never Argentina win at the end against Netherlands, but that's the kind of, he does a small margin that he make difference at the end, because Guardiola have been a perfect tournament, whereas Enzo Fernandez have some high, some down, and only for this, I don't think he gonna win it, but he's definitely a good player. And if Liverpool comes to sign him, there'll be a major improvement in the midfield.
Has anyone else impressed you guys just in the whole tournament? Do you think there could be any outsiders other than Amrabat for the Golden Ball or even the Young Player Award? Anyone?
Yeah, we'll do like an underrated sort of player that you think maybe.
As an Arsenal fan, Bukayo Saka for me. I feel
like bias.
That's fair enough.
I think he's got to have a shout for Young Player of the tournament, especially if Bellingham's up there. Saka was probably our best player against France, and if anyone was going to get us through to that semi-final, it was going to be Bukayo Saka. You've got Gonçalo Ramos, but he was kind of a one game wonder a bit. Got his hat-trick and left, but for the Golden Ball, Luka Modric maybe, if he can surprise a few people in his last few games, show people how Cristiano Ronaldo at his age, he's not even starting for Portugal and going home. Modric is still doing it and could be a shout for 2 player of the tournaments in a row, which has never been done before.
I think, well, being an Aston Villa fan, I'd say Emi Martinez, but no. Going for a team that's slightly more niche, and I think a player that, if they got through, would have actually shone, Enner Valencia. I think no one expected him to do. Obviously, the forefront. Obviously, probably didn't really have a good career in the Premier League, but has proved it for Ecuador. Really, I was really impressed by them. I actually thought they were going to go through, but past Senegal when Mane got injured. But good to them. But I also think a lot of the Japan players, Ito, just to name a few, and I mean, in the group with Spain and Germany, and you get through.
Yeah,
it's really well done by them. Huge kudos to them. Shame they got knocked out. But yeah, a lot of the Japanese players, but also I think give a few of the Ecuadorians a shout as well.
You mentioned Spain and Germany. Obviously, they've got young players like Pedri, Gavi, Musiala as well for Germany. Do you think they were maybe unlucky? If they'd gone a bit further, they might have won something.
Musiala could definitely have won something. At only 19 or 20, he was absolutely carrying the German team, and the implication that he had in the last third of the picture actually amazing for his age, and he was so good for this tournament. It's really unlucky that Germany couldn't go further up, but he's definitely one to watch for the next international competition.
Definitely.
I mean, it's criminal he wasn't playing for England.
If only.
You have been amazing. You were playing for England.
Well, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks to our special guest Craig Chisnell from The Athletic.
This podcast was produced and presented by sports journalism students at the University of Central Lancashire in Preston. If you liked it, you can follow and rate us 5 stars on Spotify, and make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, and make sure, obviously, of course, you share it with your friends everywhere. We'll be back tomorrow at the same time, another edition of World Cup Sera Qatar. Cheers.
Bye.
Got past one where you mentioned Morocco because you have about him.